All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to talk about something that was said by Terence Crawford's camp about JARON, Ennis, and Errol Spence Jr., and everybody else in the welterweight division. That is in the man, to say the least, mind-boggling. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. In this video, we're going to be in the 147-pound division, talking about the reappearance of Team Terence Crawford on YouTube and some claims that they make regarding Errol Spence Jr. and JARON Ennis, Virgil Ortiz, and everybody in the division, which, you know, I got to say, man, is like, seriously, man, y'all just be talking to be talking. Now, before I do that, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are a longtime subscriber and supporter, this one goes out to my guy, Starborn 007, the biggest Bud Crawford fan ever that does not like me ever talking about Bud Crawford. But yet is the only time you ever come by the live streams. Anyway, you're my guy. Thank you for the support in the live stream and in the super chats and the cash apps. And thank you to everybody else that supports in the channel in videos like this, in the super thanks, which you can see with the little heart and a dollar sign in the lower right hand corner. Also, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, help the channel grow, hit the thanks, the like button, share the video would be greatly appreciated. Now, let me get into this. All right. As we know, we got a big card coming up this weekend. And that is between the headliner of the card is Gervonta Davis versus Hector Garcia. Should be a terrific fight. Hector Garcia is an excellent fighter. Gervonta Davis is one of the best fighters in boxing. Definitely a competitive fight. We'll see how it goes. But right before that, there's a young man out of Philadelphia that will be fighting on the card by the name of JARON Ennis. And I think many people think he's one of the best fighters in the world right now, and could be the best welterweight, depending on what happens with a fight between Errol Spence Jr. and he, or JARON and Terence Crawford, right? Or Virgil Ortiz, if you want to throw Virgil Ortiz in there. Keith Thurman, I think, is out there floating near the top of the division as well, right? But very good fighter. Is going to be on the co-main event of his first pay-per-view show, right? Now, Terence Crawford's team goes by the name of Bernie the Boxer, did a live stream, and I watched Bernie the Boxer's live stream. I still enjoy listening to him talk boxing, even though, you know, that the Terence Crawford fight with Errol didn't come through. But I will tell you, listening to him, gosh, man, little bits here and there would have told you what was going on the entire time. Like, no joke, not like the entire time. And so anyway, says something to the effect that, you know, Terence Crawford is the most feared person in the 147-pound division. May have said most feared fighter in boxing, but if you're most feared fighter in boxing, you're clearly the most feared boxer in the weight class that you're fighting in, right? So, and that nobody is calling for Terence Crawford. You don't hear anybody trying to say they want to fight Terence Crawford. Now, this is my thing. That is completely delusional. And it just makes you wonder, like, if we're ever really going to see Terence Crawford in a good fight. And I mean, there's only a certain number of fights that a fighter is going to have in his career that are really going to be like top-notch fights. That's just how it is. No matter, like, if you say, like, even you can look at Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s career, and, you know, there are a lot of current or former world champions that he fought, but there's probably 5 fights, 6 fights out there in his career that really stand out. Like, okay, those were the fights that I was like, man, what's going to happen in this fight? Ooh, Floyd is fighting this guy, right? So there were guys like Diego Corrales, for me, there were Diego Corrales, Ricky Hatton, Oscar De La Hoya, even though I didn't know, Arturo Gatti, even though I did know he was going to beat Arturo Gatti, and I definitely knew he was going to beat Ricky Hatton, but Oscar De La Hoya, and then, the other one besides Oscar De La Hoya, I think is Manny Pacquiao. There was, for some people it was Canelo Alvarez. To me, I was like, man, Canelo's kind of green. Canelo's probably going to get beat. But, there was the Canelo Alvarez fight. Some people may even point to the Conor McGregor fight because it was such, a big deal. Then people were wondering, this is the best guy in the MMA. What will he do with the best guy in boxing, right? And that made the fight really big. So, but even with somebody like Floyd, what is that? That's 5-6 really big fights, right? So, or you take somebody like Andre Ward and you say, well, how many really big fights has he had? Or how many big fighters has he fought, right? So you say, well, yeah, there's Sergey Kovalev, 2 fights are really the big ones, really didn't know what was going to happen. Earlier in his career, for me, being a fan of his, it was also Miguel Kessler and Carl Froch, because for some reason, there were people out there that were saying that these guys were favored to beat him. Now, I was looking at like Andre Ward, like, I don't see what you guys see in that one, but okay. So that was the fights that really kind of got his name on. But again, those are 4 or 5 fights, right? You could look at Ali and say, okay, what in his best, probably the best career that you could ever hope for. And he had Sonny Liston, he had Joe Frazier, he had George Foreman, Ken Norton, and later in his career, he had Larry Holmes, right? So maybe you could say I wasn't around at the time, maybe somebody would have thought maybe Floyd Patterson. But my point is to say that, for Terence Crawford or for Errol Spence, there's only a certain number of fights in your career that are those big fights. So and for Terence, those are JARON Ennis, Errol Spence Jr., maybe Jermell Charlo. If there was Manny Pacquiao, if there's some way he could get up that big, maybe it could be Canelo Alvarez. But that's just a handful of fights, man, that really could set that off. And for them to keep just saying things that are just patently untrue. Like nobody is calling for him. JARON Ennis says his name and talks about wanting to fight him in every interview the man has, right? Errol Spence Jr. tried to get a fight with the man for 6 months, right? So, and the most feared guy, those 2 guys don't seem like they're afraid of him to me, any more than I think that he's afraid of them. But there is a certain amount of just other world, of completely strange view of what's going on in the world with Terence Crawford that to me and his team it's just kind of mind-boggling. Most other people will out there in boxing, other than maybe Canelo Alvarez, right? Well, because Canelo Alvarez is off in his pajama cloud, right? Just literally up in the clouds on a private jet flying around with his whole family in pajamas the whole day, that doesn't realize, man, that you're not satisfying a whole lot of people, and a whole lot of people want to see this, right? They want to see this fight or that fight. But Terence Crawford, to say his team to say he's the most feared guy in boxing, I don't know about that, but to say that you don't hear anybody calling his name is absolutely ridiculous, because every one of the top guys, save Keith Thurman, is calling his name. And he just turned down one of the biggest guys. And he also has an opportunity to make a voluntary with JARON Ennis. But what was his response with JARON Ennis to the question about why didn't you fight JARON Ennis instead of David Evanesian? It was his name never came up. Like, how about you bring his name up, right? But anyway, man, that's my take on this on the matter. Just wanted to share that. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.